Uh-oh. We got a trout, a feisty one. Woo. There we go. Nice way to start off the morning. Hey, welcome to Angling Acumen. Today, our topic is going to be fishing for stocked trout using two specific products. Berkley Powerbait Trout Bait and the Berkley Powerbait Power Eggs. Both these are very popular and very effective presentations for stock trout, like this. So why don't you join us? And today we're going to talk about fishing for stock trout using two products from Berkley. It's going to be the Berkley Powerbait Trout Bait, sometimes referred to as dough or paste. And then the other product we're looking at is the Berkley Power Eggs. And number of individual eggs, they'll just come in a chain and just break one off as you use it. Now both of these are designed to float, and so we incorporate them with a slip sinker system on the bottom. So your sinker's on the bottom, but then your bait's gonna float up. Very similar to here. I got a egg sinker on my main line. And then what I do is I put a little plastic bead on there, and then I tie on a snap swivel right there. And that plastic bead's going to keep that sinker from damaging my knot. Now this is a much heavier sinker than I'm using most of the time. It's just the particular lake we're fishing today. I really got to bomb it out there to get to where the fish are at. It's too shallow up front, and the fish are holding below that deep break line out there, so I got to get out there. Most of the time I'm using a much smaller sinker. I'm using a sinker like this size right here, usually somewhere around 1/4 to 3/8, but like I say, once in a while, if you really got to bomb it out there, use a heavier sinker. If you don't have to cast out that far, you could use a much lighter sinker. And then I've got a light line here to my hook, and you want to use monofilament on your leader section. You don't want to use fluorocarbon. You might think, oh, fluorocarbon so the fish don't see it, but fluorocarbon sinks, and you want this bait to float, so you want to help that bait along to float. For a hook, for the power eggs, I use a Mustad dry fly hook, because think about it, that's a hook that's designed to be able to be tied with feathers and what have you, and float on the surface of the water. So I'm using this light hook like this so that it's easier for that power egg to float that up. So you want the buoyancy, the monofilament, you want a light hook. If you use too heavy a hook, it's not going to be able to raise up again. All right, so what I do, one of the things I can do in the winter is I tie up a bunch of my hooks, and however long you tie your leaders, that's how far up that bait's going to go from the bottom. For example, here I have some, this side they're 20-inch leaders, this side they're 30-inch leaders. I wrap them all up, just put a piece of tape, put a little loop knot on the end, a perfection loop on the end. And the hook is what you're going to use for the power egg. For the dough, you're going to use a small treble hook from like a size 18 to a size 14 treble hook. And then what you're going to do is I have a little scoop, a little plastic, it's 1/4 of a fraction of a teaspoon measuring that I pilfered from the kitchen. And I'm going to use that to scoop out the dough. You're just going to roll that up, and then you're going to force that little treble hook right into the dough. And again, the dough is going to float up. But again, I labeled it. These are size 14 treble, they're 25-inch leader. And it's going to float it that far up off the bottom. And as you can tell, the park attendant here has decided to mow the lawn, so we have some nice background music here. Ooh. Uh-oh. It's not committing. Come on, take it. There we go. Ooh, now he's fighting. Oh. There we go. Hey, we're going to step aside from fishing for a few moments to talk about two things: rod holders and strike indicators. Now in today's show, we're catching all of our fish on a public fishing dock with a railing. And with something like that's available to you, it's real easy. You just cast and you prop your rod up on the railing, and then add your strike indicator. But by far, most of the stock trout I've caught from lakes and ponds have been from shore, very similar to where we're at right now. So you need some kind of a rod holder for your rod. This is a real simple one. It's just a 1/4 inch, round stock that was bent into an S basically on the side, and you take it like that and you can just, force that in and then rest your rod on. This is a commercially made product. This particular one's called Fish and Sticks. Eagle Claw also has a similar product, and it's nice because you could expand it to the size that you need, and then put it in and then get it so you're ready to go, and then it'll actually lock in place when you're at the height that you want. And then the main thing is not enough height so that you got some travel for your strike indicator. And you're going to cast your line out, and the strike indicator has two purposes. One, obviously, you're going to see when you have a strike, but the other thing that it's doing is you're adding that, and it's giving very little resistance. The fish is able to take that line and feel very little resistance. He's pulling, and it's pulling that up. There's very little weight to that, and so he's able to take that bait and not feel it. It's the same reason why we're using a slip sinker. We don't want the fish dragging that sinker across the bottom. When they feel that resistance, even a dumb hatchery trout, they're feeling that resistance, they're going to drop that more times than not. And same thing if you fish a tight line, like a lot of people do for catfish, for example, when you're watching your rod tip, a lot of fish, when they feel that resistance, they're not going to follow through, continue to take the bait. So you want that line to slide through your slip sinker, and then when the fish is taking that bait, you want it to be able to not feel that strike indicator and pull that up. So again, it's letting you know when you have a fish, but it's also minimizing the amount of resistance that fish feels when he's taking your bait. Now the strike indicators themselves aren't anything particularly fancy. This one is just made from a piece of square dowel, painted with fluorescent paint, and then a open-ended cup hook screwed into the end. This one here too. Whoops. Same thing, just a little bit bigger, so it's a little bit heavier. And it can be real simple too, is you take a snap swivel, open up the loop on it, and attach it to a bobber. And same thing here, it's just a snap with an open end attached to a bobber. So you want a variety of weights, like I said, and that's for a couple reasons. The fish are hitting particularly light one day, or they're hitting real aggressive another day. You might want a heavier one. Or if you got windier conditions and the wind wants to put a belly in your line and you want to try to minimize that, a larger, heavier, slightly heavier strike indicator will try to help minimize that amount of belly in your line as well. So it pays to have a selection of them. Occasionally you're going to lose some, for various reasons. So you're going to want a variety of them in a variety of sizes. And again, you're not something you need to break the bank to have a selection of. up the slack so we keep it tight. Wow, that was a feisty one. That was a feisty one. There we go. Fighting, netting, and filming all at the same time. That's multitasking beyond my capabilities a little bit. There's a pretty fish. All right, and that was on the yellow dough bait. Ooh, he's thumping. He's thumping. Well, this wasn't out there very long. Whoa, it's a leaper. He's coming back. Yeah. Not liking that net. There we go. Great netting technique here. All right, that's fish number 5. That's all the state of Wisconsin allows us to take from this lake. There we go, he's on that orange Powerade. Here's the results of our efforts today. We had a nice 5-fish limit of stocked rainbow trout on the Powerbait and the Power Eggs. It was kind of split. 3 of the fish were on the Power Eggs and 2 of the fish were on the dough bait. So pays to use both, and it pays to experiment with color, as we mentioned earlier too.